They laughed when she said, "We use wolves as helpers." Then she played the footage. HFY Sci-Fi Story. The hall was built for beings much larger than humans. The ceiling curved high like the inside of a shell, layered with glowing lines that changed color as different species spoke. Seats floated in wide circles, each shaped for a different body. Some were filled with mist, some with liquid, some with solid platforms covered in metal grips. At the center stood a single flat floor meant for shared speakers. That floor felt very small when Elena stepped onto it. She walked calmly, hands folded behind her back, boots making a soft sound against the smooth surface. Her uniform was plain, no medals, no bright colors. Just dark fabric and a simple symbol of Earth stitched near her shoulder. Around her, dozens of alien delegates watched with open curiosity, quiet judgment, or clear boredom. Humanity was late to the stars. Everyone in the room knew that. Other species had crossed space while humans were still fighting over land and water. Some had built empires that spanned systems before humans learned faster than light travel. Yet those empires were gone now, reduced to broken stations and empty worlds. The reason for this meeting was simple and terrifying. Something was killing advanced civilizations. The council moderator, a tall being with 4 thin arms and skin like polished stone, gestured toward Elena. "Representative of Earth," it said in a voice that echoed softly. "You may explain how your species continues to survive border encounters where others failed."
Elena nodded once.
She did not rush. She looked around the hall, meeting as many eyes, lenses, and shifting shapes as she could. "Humans survive," she said, "because we do not rely on one kind of strength." A low ripple of sound moved through the hall. Some species clicked, others hummed. A few translated the words again through their devices as if expecting hidden meaning. Elena continued, "We use machines, we use training, we use numbers when we must, but we also use partners." One delegate, a wide creature resting in a pool of pale liquid, leaned forward. "Partners," it repeated. "Clarify." Elena's mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. "On Earth, we evolved alongside predators. One in particular learned to work with us long before we reached space." The hall grew quieter. "We use wolves as helpers." For a breath, nothing happened. Then laughter broke out. It came in many forms. Sharp clicks, rolling waves through liquid seats, bright flashes of color from skin displays meant to signal humor. Even a few human allies seated at the edge shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether this was a joke. A thick-bodied delegate with layered armor plates spoke loudly. "You bring animals to a galactic defense council?" Another voice joined in. "Primitive behavior. Biological weakness. Predators are unstable." The moderator raised 2 arms to restore order, but the mood had already shifted. Amusement spread easily in a room full of species who trusted logic, data, and machines. Elena waited. She did not interrupt. She did not defend herself. She let the laughter run its course like a storm burning out. When the hall finally settled, she spoke again, her voice steady. "They are not pets," she said. "They are not weapons we control. They are partners who choose to work with us." The armored delegate shook its heavy head. "We lost fleets to the enemy you face. You claim beasts with teeth kept you alive?" Elena looked directly at it. "Yes." Another delegate, thin and tall, with glowing symbols drifting across its skin, leaned forward. "Explain how animals outperform adaptive combat systems." "I will," Elena said, "but words will not be enough." She turned slightly and gestured toward the ceiling. "With permission, I would like to play recorded footage from a recent evacuation on our frontier." The moderator paused. Data flowed across its inner sensors. "Your request is noted. Be aware that fabricated or altered records will be detected." Elena nodded. "We expect nothing less." The lights dimmed. The ceiling darkened, then transformed into a wide viewing surface. The first image appeared without sound. It showed a narrow metal corridor. Emergency lights blinked red and white. Smoke hung thick in the air, moving slowly, like it was alive. Human figures rushed past the camera, some carrying children, some supporting the wounded. Their faces were tight with fear and focus. The sound came next. Distant impacts. Alarms cut short. A deep vibration that made several delegates shift in their seats. "This was Station Greypoint," Elena said softly. "An outpost with modern defenses. Drones, automated turrets." On screen, a turret unfolded from the ceiling. It scanned the corridor. Then, without warning, it sparked and went dark. The camera shook as something hit the wall nearby, though nothing could be seen. Murmurs spread through the hall. A delegate whispered, "Stealth interference." Another replied, high-level masking. The footage followed a group of soldiers moving backward, weapons raised, firing at empty space. Their shots hit nothing. One soldier screamed as something struck him from the side, throwing him hard against the wall. Then the camera angle shifted. From the smoke, shapes emerged, large, low to the ground, moving fast but silent. Wolves. Their fur was dark, patterned in shades of gray and black. Their eyes reflected the red light, bright and focused. They moved between the soldiers, not blocking them, not slowing them down. They flowed like water through stone. Several delegates leaned forward now. The wolves stopped at an intersection. One lifted its head. Its ears turned slightly, catching something the microphones did not. Another wolf let out a low sound. Not a bark, not a growl, but something controlled and sharp. The soldiers reacted instantly. They turned, changed direction, pulled civilians with them. Seconds later, the wall where they had been standing exploded inward as an unseen force struck it. Gasps echoed through the hall. That reaction time, a delegate murmured. Impossible without predictive modeling. Elena spoke again. The enemy masked itself against machines, against energy, against logic. The footage showed a wolf lunging forward, snapping at empty air. For a moment, its jaws closed on nothing. Then blood sprayed across the corridor, thick and dark, revealing the outline of something that should not have been seen. The creature screamed. The sound was high and wrong, cutting through the hall and making several delegates recoil. The wolf did not hesitate. Others joined it, tearing into the shape until it collapsed into visibility. Dead. The hall was silent now. The footage continued. More corridors, more smoke. Wolves leading, humans following. Whenever the wolves stopped, the soldiers listened. Whenever the wolves charged, the soldiers fired where they went. Losses still happened, people fell. Wolves fell too. One scene showed a wolf standing alone at the end of a long passage. It looked back once, eyes meeting the camera. Then it ran forward. A flash of light. The passage collapsed. The wolf did not return. Several delegates looked away. Elena's voice was quiet. That wolf detected a concentration of the enemy. It acted before we could confirm it. The armored delegate spoke again, but its voice lacked its earlier confidence. Your machines could not detect this species. No, Elena said. They still cannot fully. The footage ended abruptly, cutting to black. The lights in the hall slowly returned. No one laughed. The moderator lowered its arms slightly. You claim these animals detected what our technology could not. Yes, Elena said. Because they do not see the world the way machines do. They smell changes in air. They feel vibrations through their bones. They hear fear, movement, life. A thin delegate asked, and they obey you? Elena shook her head. They trust us. That answer caused more reaction than any data point. Trust is unreliable, someone said. So is overconfidence, Elena replied. She took a slow breath. We did not survive because we were stronger. We survived because we listened to those who evolved to notice danger before it struck. The moderator studied her. You have shown one recording. Elena nodded. Yes. And you suggest this method is scalable? She met its gaze. I suggest it is already happening. A ripple of confusion spread. Before anyone could ask more, a sharp tone echoed through the hall. Not part of the meeting. Not planned. The lights flickered. Security signals flashed along the walls. The moderator stiffened. Port. A voice came through the system, tight and urgent. Unidentified disturbance near the outer ring. Sensors are unclear. Elena did not move, but her eyes shifted just slightly toward the far wall. Somewhere, very far away, something unseen had noticed the council, and somewhere else, beyond the reach of machines, wolves would already be listening. The footage on the screen flickered back to life. The red emergency lights of Station Graypoint glowed faintly in the smoke-filled corridors. The sounds of alarms and distant impacts returned, mixing with the soft footfalls of humans moving with purpose. Machines had failed. Turrets had jammed, sensors were blind, yet life continued, driven by instinct, training, and something the aliens watching the footage did not understand. From the shadows of the corridor, a pack of wolves emerged. They moved silently, muscles rippling under dark fur, paws making barely any sound against the metal floor. Each wolf had a role, each wolf a position. They were not running blindly. They were not attacking without reason. They scanned the smoke, noses twitching, ears flicking at sounds no camera could catch. The humans followed, keeping tight formation behind the wolves. One soldier, a young man with sweat dripping from his brow, glanced at the wolf leading the way. The wolf paused, ears straight, nose in the air. The soldier tensed, ready to fire. A low growl came, almost a whisper, but enough. The soldier did not shoot. He moved as the wolf signaled with subtle gestures of its body. Alien delegates in the hall watched, leaning forward in their seats. The silence was different now. Curiosity replaced laughter. Some of them shifted, translating what they saw with rapid calculations. Every movement of the wolf was deliberate, every step calculated, yet fluid. The aliens had never seen instinct and intelligence combined so seamlessly. The corridor ahead shook suddenly. A panel had exploded, sending debris flying. A human behind the wolf stumbled and fell. The wolf did not pause. It darted back in a blur, nudging the human with its head and guiding him toward a safer path. Another wolf followed, pressing close to cover the rear. Together they created a moving shield, invisible to any sensors but deadly precise against the enemy. The enemy itself remained unseen for the longest time. Nothing on the sensors, nothing on the cameras, yet movement, pressure, and air disturbances told the wolves where to strike. One wolf paused and growled sharply, ears pinned back. Something large moved ahead, hiding behind a wall, trying to escape detection. The humans froze, unsure what they were about to encounter. Then the wolf acted. It lunged forward, and the camera caught only a blur. A scream echoed through the corridor. The wolf reappeared, standing over a fallen creature, its teeth glinting in the emergency lights. The shape was strange, unnatural, its skin shifting as if it tried to disappear. The alien delegates whispered among themselves. The enemy could mask itself from all machines. It could not hide from the wolves. The footage cut to another angle. This time, a wider corridor. Human soldiers were moving a group of civilians along. Smoke hung low, choking the air. The wolves ran ahead, scanning, signaling, and attacking when needed. Every wolf had a name and role, known to the handlers, yet the aliens did not hear commands. The wolves worked together like one mind, one body, anticipating danger before it appeared. One soldier carried a child in his arms. A wolf approached and sniffed at the air, then turned and ran down a side corridor. The soldier hesitated. The wolf returned a moment later, signaling with a subtle nod of its head. The child was safe. The wolf's actions were deliberate, not instinct alone. The humans trusted it completely. The alien observers could not understand. Their advanced technology, faster-than-light scanners and predictive algorithms, could not explain what they were seeing. Machines had failed where biology thrived. The predators had senses machines could not replicate. Hearing beyond sound, smell beyond chemicals, sight beyond light. Every movement, every decision was guided by instincts, shaped over centuries, honed by humans to act as partners, not pets. The footage shifted again, showing a wider area. Smoke cleared slightly. Shadows moved in the distance. Another wolf paused, ears twitching. Then it raised its head and emitted a low, sharp growl. The humans knew immediately. Another threat was near. They did not need sensors or machines. The wolf's warning was enough. A group of alien delegates gasped. They had never seen such coordination. Even among their own species, trained hunters or warriors could not match the precision and speed of these predators. The soldiers followed without hesitation, moving with the wolves, trusting instincts that were not their own but shared through experience and training. Suddenly, a loud impact shook the corridor. Part of the wall collapsed. Dust filled the air. A human soldier was thrown to the ground, pinned under debris. A wolf ran to him, nudging and biting carefully to free him. Another wolf stood watch, scanning for unseen threats. The humans continued, guided by wolves who read the battlefield in ways no machine could. The alien observers could no longer hide their astonishment. Their notes and calculations were irrelevant. What they were witnessing was not just survival. It was intelligence combined with instinct, cooperation between species that surpassed expectation. Every step, every growl, every glance of the wolves saved lives that sensors could not protect. The footage cut again. This time the corridor widened into a central chamber. Smoke hung thick, alarms blared, and the humans moved cautiously. Wolves spread out, patrolling the area, their eyes reflecting the emergency lights. One wolf paused, nose twitching. Another growled. Humans froze. A shadow moved along the wall, something trying to blend into the darkness. The wolf lunged. The creature screamed. It was visible for only a moment before collapsing. The humans advanced, following the wolf's lead. Every encounter repeated the same pattern. The enemy remained hidden to machines, yet the wolves detected it, guided the humans, and neutralized the threat. One wolf was injured during an attack. Blood smeared its dark fur, but it did not stop. It continued to move alongside humans, ensuring the safety of the group. The bond between the predators and humans was evident. Trust had been earned through countless battles. Machines could calculate, but they could not feel, anticipate, or choose as the wolves did. The footage ended abruptly. The hall went dark. Only the ceiling display glowed faintly, leaving the delegates in silence. No one spoke. No laughter returned. The shock of what they had seen replaced their earlier amusement. Humans had survived against an enemy that had defeated entire civilizations. They had done so not with advanced machines alone, but with creatures that worked as partners, sensing threats invisible to technology. Elena stepped forward slightly. Her voice was calm, steady. You have seen only one evacuation. There are many more. These wolves are not tools. They are partners who act as humans act, with thought, with judgment, with loyalty. A tall delegate, covered in pale scales, finally spoke. But they are still animals. How can you rely on instinct against an enemy that adapts? Elena shook her head slowly. They do not rely on instinct alone. They have been trained, guided, and integrated into human strategy. They act faster than machines can calculate, see what sensors cannot detect, and respond with precision that rivals any intelligence in this hall. Another delegate, with skin like molten metal, whispered to its neighbor, "Impossible." A softer voice came from one of the human allies seated in the corner. "It is true, we have seen it firsthand. Wolves saved our lives more times than we can count." The armored delegate, the one who had laughed at the beginning, leaned back slightly. Its eyes narrowed, studying Elena. "And what of losses? Surely creatures like this fall easily, are unreliable?" Elena's eyes did not waver. They do fall. Humans fall. Life is fragile. But these wolves do not panic. They do not hesitate. They make choices in seconds that would take machines minutes to calculate. They are predictable in ways machines are not. They follow principles, not algorithms. A hum ran through the room as more delegates processed what they had seen. Clicked quietly to each other, others shifted their forms, attempting to reconcile instinct with logic. The moderator's fingers twitched over control panels, but the data could not explain what their eyes had just witnessed. Elena gestured once more. "We do not use these wolves as weapons. We do not enslave them. We work with them. We trust them. That trust has kept entire colonies alive while the enemy destroyed everything else." A pause settled over the hall. The alien delegates were silent, minds racing. The arrogance of machines, the reliance on algorithms, the dismissal of biological partners, all of it had been shattered in a single recording. The moderator finally spoke, voice calm but firm. "Representative Elena, you have demonstrated a method unfamiliar to this council, one that combines biological instinct with human strategy. Further investigation is warranted." Elena inclined her head slightly, acknowledging the decision. "You may investigate, but I warn you, observation alone will not convey the full truth. These wolves work because we are partners. They are part of humanity's survival, not tools for display." The lights in the hall brightened slowly, and the delegates leaned back in their seats, still absorbing the footage. The laughter from before was gone, replaced by an uneasy respect, a dawning understanding that humans had adapted differently, perhaps better than anyone had expected. Elena turned slightly and allowed herself a quiet breath. Outside the hall, the corridors of the station continued to hum with life, machines flickering, alarms occasionally sounding. Yet she knew that no sensor, no turret, no automated defense could replace the bond she had seen proven, time and again, between humans and their wolves. Somewhere far away, beyond the station, beyond the sensors and screens, the wolves waited. They would always be ready, listening, watching, moving silently where machines could not, and keeping humanity alive in ways that no one, not even the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, could predict. The hall remained silent, the delegates unsure of what to say next. The footage had ended, but the lesson lingered. Humans had survived where empires had fallen, not because of speed or strength alone, but because they had allies others refused to understand, allies who lived and thought in ways machines never could. Outside, the stars shone cold and indifferent. Within the hall, a new understanding began to form. Humanity had found a way to survive, and the universe would have to notice. The wolves were the first step, and the next threat would not wait for anyone who underestimated them. The hall was quiet after the footage. The alien delegates sat in stunned silence, some whispering to each other, others staring at the ceiling as if it might explain what they had just seen. Even the moderator, who had dealt with countless disputes and presentations, seemed unsure how to proceed. Humans had always been underestimated, but now the disbelief ran deeper than before. Elena stood calmly in the center of the floor. She did not move, did not gesture, only allowed the silence to stretch. It was a tool she had learned to use well. The aliens' curiosity grew with every second, as did the tension. They wanted answers, but they also feared what those answers might reveal. "Your machines failed," one of the scaled delegates finally said, voice low, cautious. "The enemy remained invisible, yet your wolves detected them." "How?" Elena met its gaze steadily. "Machines detect patterns. Wolves detect life. They sense things that no algorithm can predict. Air movement, vibrations, even the smallest scent changes. They react in ways that are fast and precise, and they do it with judgment, not instinct alone." A pale humanoid delegate with fingers like thin rods leaned forward. "Judgment? Wolves are animals. They cannot reason." "They can," Elena said. "In partnership with humans, they can. They understand signals, patterns, warnings. They know when to act, when to hold, and when to lead. We have trained them for generations to respond to situations that cannot be predicted." A hum ran through the room. Machines, algorithms, and predictive models had been the foundation of most civilizations' survival. Yet here, a simple species had used biology to outmatch technology. Elena gestured toward the ceiling. "The footage you saw is only part of the story. You have seen how wolves move through corridors, how they lead humans to safety, how they detect enemies invisible to machines. What you have not seen is what happens when they coordinate with soldiers in open terrain." She clicked a small device. The ceiling flickered, and a new image appeared. It was a wide canyon on a border planet. Dust blew in the wind. Sensors flickered, showing minimal readings. Drones hovered, scanning the horizon. Soldiers crouched behind rocks, waiting. At first it seemed empty. Nothing moved, nothing approached. Then a shape appeared. Just a flicker. Machines did not detect it. The wind carried no sound. The sensors showed only static. The humans froze, but the wolves did not. A pack of them appeared, moving in silence, low to the ground, scanning the open area. Each wolf moved with purpose. One stopped, ears pricked. Another growled softly. Humans followed the signals, taking cover, adjusting positions. The enemy, whatever it was, had assumed invisibility meant safety. They had not counted on life that could sense beyond the machines. The aliens in the hall leaned forward. Some translated what they saw, others simply watched in disbelief. A wolf darted forward, circling an invisible threat. The soldiers followed, firing only when necessary. The wolf paused again, growling, teeth bared, guiding them along the safest path. Suddenly the enemy struck. A wave of strange, shifting creatures appeared, almost invisible, their bodies blending with the rocks and dust. They moved fast, striking unpredictably. Machines fired and failed. Missiles missed. Sensors jammed. Automated turrets stopped functioning. The humans were exposed, but the wolves acted. One lunged at a creature before it could attack. Another intercepted a strike aimed at a soldier. Their coordination was seamless, their timing perfect. The humans moved as the wolves signaled, trusting instincts that were not their own but had been trained into them. A young soldier stumbled, nearly falling into a pit. A wolf nudged him back, steadying him with a gentle pressure. Another wolf ran ahead, guiding a small group through a narrow canyon path, avoiding traps the humans could not see. Every action, every movement was precise. The enemy began to retreat, unable to predict the attacks. The humans followed cautiously, wolves leading the way. One wolf stopped at a ridge, looking down at a fallen creature. Its eyes met the camera briefly. Then it ran forward, signaling the humans to continue. The alien delegates whispered among themselves. They had never seen predators used like this. They had relied on technology, speed, firepower, and intelligence, but humans had shown a combination of instinct, judgment, and partnership that they could not calculate. Elena's voice cut through the quiet. Machines fail because they depend on predictable patterns. Wolves, when trained and trusted, act with awareness. They notice life where machines see nothing. They respond with judgment where algorithms fail, and they protect humans in ways machines cannot replicate. The footage continued. Dust storms swept across the canyon, hiding movement. Enemy creatures tried to strike again, but the wolves anticipated each attack. One wolf sacrificed itself to draw a creature away, allowing the group of humans to escape. Another wolf took position, scanning the horizon, signaling danger and safe paths. A soldier whispered, "I don't understand how they know." Another replied, "It doesn't matter. They know. The aliens could see it themselves." Machines could not match the wolves. Humans could not move without them. The partnership was not just survival. It was a form of strategy that the enemy had never faced. The footage shifted again, showing a closer view of the soldiers and wolves. A young wolf, only a year old, was separated from the pack. It circled the humans, growling softly at something the humans could not see. A strange creature lunged from the shadows. The wolf struck first, its teeth sinking in with perfect precision. Another wolf covered the rear. Humans advanced safely. One delegate, a long-necked being with eyes all over its head, whispered, "They coordinate like one mind." "Yes," another replied, "but not machine-like." "Something else." Elena nodded slightly. "Partnership. Trust. Experience. Humans survived because we do not act alone. We have learned to listen to creatures that evolved to notice danger before it strikes. The enemy cannot mask from life itself." The footage ended abruptly. The canyon fell silent. Smoke and dust lingered. Wolves and humans had vanished from view. The camera captured only the aftermath, the enemy retreating, wounded and confused. The hall remained quiet. The laughter from before had disappeared entirely. The delegates were not only impressed, they were unsettled. Humans had survived and outperformed technology with predators. The simplicity of it confused them. They had relied on complexity, machines, calculations, and firepower. Humanity had relied on life, trust, and judgment. The moderator finally spoke, voice measured. "Oh, Representative Elena, the Council acknowledges the effectiveness of your methods. Further review and cooperation may be necessary." "This is unusual." Elena inclined her head. "Unusual for you, perhaps. For us, it is survival. These wolves are part of humanity's strength, not tools for display or experiments. They choose to act and we choose to trust them. That trust has saved lives repeatedly." A tall delegate, metallic and rigid, asked, "And the losses?" "Surely relying on animals has its limits." "Yes," Elena said, "but every loss is accounted for. Every wolf and human is trained. Every mission is planned with trust and observation. Losses happen in battle, but the outcome is survival more often than failure. Machines cannot replicate this. The aliens absorbed the words, murmuring, calculating, translating. They had faced enemies that defeated empires. Yet humans with wolves had survived and even succeeded where machines had failed. Their skepticism had turned into something more complex, curiosity mixed with caution. Elena glanced at the ceiling where the footage still glowed faintly. "What you see is a single evacuation. There are more, and more complex operations. Machines alone will not protect humanity. Wolves and the bond we share with them will. They sense, they respond, they protect. They are partners." The hall remained still. The lesson was clear. Machines could fail. Logic could fail, but partnership between species, the bond of trust, and the ability to see beyond patterns had allowed humans to survive where others had fallen. Outside, the stars remained cold, distant, and unfeeling. Inside the hall, the delegates sat quietly, unsure how to reconcile the power of instincts they had always dismissed with the survival of a species they had underestimated. Elena stepped back, folding her hands. She did not need to speak further. The message had been delivered. Humanity had survived because it listened, it adapted, and it trusted allies others considered too simple to matter. Wolves were only the beginning, and somewhere, far away from cameras and machines, the wolves were ready. They would continue to listen, to watch, to protect. They would act before the enemy could strike, and they would lead humanity forward, unseen but unstoppable. The delegates had seen the footage, but they had not yet seen everything. The wolves' judgment, their awareness, and their partnership with humans went beyond what any recording could capture. It was alive, fluid, and unstoppable. And the universe would soon learn that humans had allies that no one, not even the most advanced civilizations, had anticipated. The council hall remained tense as Elena prepared to show the next sequence of footage. The alien delegates, still unsettled by what they had already seen, leaned forward in their seats. There was no laughter this time. No disbelief. Only curiosity mixed with unease. The previous recordings had shown evacuation corridors and canyon battles, but now Elena was ready to reveal what happened when humans and wolves faced a fully hidden enemy in the open. The screen flickered to life. A wide desert planet appeared, bathed in pale orange light from a distant sun. The landscape was empty and quiet, but sensors showed disturbances. Machines could detect nothing clearly, only static readings that made calculations impossible. The humans were small dots in the distance, scattered across dunes and rocky outcrops. Wolves moved ahead of them, scouting, observing, and signaling directions. The alien delegates murmured, unable to hide their fascination. The wolves were not following orders in the traditional sense. They were scanning, predicting, and responding to a threat that remained invisible to every machine, scanner, and weapon system. The footage showed a ripple of movement far ahead. Dust swirled unnaturally, signaling that something large was moving. The humans froze. Machines spun up sensors that registered nothing. The enemy remained undetected, but the wolves sensed it immediately. One of them stopped, ears pinned, tail stiff. It growled softly, a warning that humans understood without words. A soldier whispered, "Something ahead." The wolf did not attack. It circled, gauging the distance, reading the enemy through subtle vibrations in the sand, through shifts in air currents, through scents too faint for human noses. The humans stayed behind, trusting the wolf completely. Suddenly, the enemy struck. Creatures erupted from the dunes, almost invisible, their bodies blending with sand and wind. Machines fired. Sensors tried to track them. Nothing worked. Humans were exposed. Fear rippled through the small group, but the wolves acted instantly. One lunged to intercept a creature approaching a soldier. Another circled from the rear, cutting off a potential attack. Their movements were fluid, coordinated, and deadly precise. Humans followed, advancing only when the wolves signaled safety. A young wolf was separated from the pack during a sudden sandstorm. It circled the humans it was guiding, growling sharply at something the humans could not see. Creature lunged from a dune, invisible to sensors, and the wolf struck first. Its jaws clamped down with perfect accuracy, neutralizing the threat before it could reach the humans. The aliens in the council hall whispered among themselves. They had relied on technology for years, yet they were witnessing life that machines could not replicate. Wolves moved, thought, and reacted in ways no algorithm could predict. The humans had survived encounters that would have destroyed entire fleets of advanced machines, all because they had learned to trust living partners. The footage shifted. Dust and smoke from the battle obscured vision. Wolves and humans moved together, advancing cautiously. The enemy tried again, striking in waves, attempting to surround the humans. Missiles fired automatically, but the creatures shifted, avoiding detection, and advanced through the storm. The wolves anticipated each strike. One ran along a ridge, signaling humans to follow a safer path. Another blocked a hidden approach, lunging at creatures as they emerged from dunes. The humans followed every movement. The wolves acted not only to attack, but to guide, protect, and lead the humans to safety. The aliens' murmurs grew louder. "Coordination, precision, intelligence," one whispered. "Impossible for simple animals." Elena's voice cut through. "They are not simple. They have evolved senses that machines cannot replicate. They see and feel life differently. Their judgment, trained and guided, allows humans to survive in ways no algorithm could calculate." The footage continued. Wolves sacrificed themselves when necessary, drawing away creatures, creating openings for humans to advance. A soldier carrying supplies stumbled, and a wolf nudged him back into cover. Another wolf signaled the remaining humans to move to a ridge, avoiding an ambush. The enemy began to retreat, confused and unable to predict the actions of these predators. Machines could not understand what had happened. Humans could not have acted alone. The bond between humans and wolves was clear, visible in every step and every reaction. One delegate, thin and multi-limbed, leaned forward. "But they are still animals. How can this scale? Surely it cannot work for entire fleets." Elena shook her head. "It is not about size. It is about awareness and trust. These wolves are trained to work in partnership with humans. They react faster than machines, see what sensors cannot detect, and protect humans in ways no weapon or drone could replicate. Scale comes from coordination, not brute force." The footage shifted again, showing the aftermath. The sandstorm cleared, revealing the enemy retreating, injured and disoriented. Wolves regrouped with humans, scanning for further threats. One wolf licked a soldier's hand, then moved to the next, signaling that it was safe to continue. The humans advanced, confident because their partners had made it possible. A metallic delegate whispered, "They anticipate, they act, they protect. Machines could never." Elena nodded. "Machines can follow commands. They can calculate and fire, but they cannot see life itself, feel danger in the air, sense patterns that are invisible to technology. That is why humanity survives." The alien hall remained silent. They had laughed before. They had doubted. Now they were forced to reconsider. The humans had survived where others had fallen, not with speed, power, or technology alone, but with partnership, trust, and instinct. Elena stepped back slightly. You have seen only one encounter on a single planet. There are many more. Our methods are not flashy, but they work. We survive because we adapt, because we listen, and because we trust partners others refuse to understand. The lights in the hall brightened slowly. The delegates sat quietly, processing what they had seen. Machines had failed. Predictions had failed. Logic alone could not explain the survival of humans. Life itself, in the form of wolves, had proven to be more reliable, more adaptable, and more intelligent than any algorithm. Outside, the stars remained indifferent. But inside the hall, a new awareness had begun to form. Humans had allies no one had anticipated. Wolves, trained and trusted, had become more than animals. They were partners, guardians, and warriors in a universe that had underestimated them. Elena turned slightly and allowed herself a quiet breath. The lesson had been delivered. Humans did not dominate by power alone. They survived because they listened, they adapted, and they trusted creatures who had evolved to see what others could not. And somewhere, far from the cameras, far from the sensors and the alien council, the wolves waited. They would continue to listen, to watch, to guide, and to protect. They were ready for the next threat, already sensing danger before it arrived, ensuring that humanity would survive where others had failed. The hall remained silent, the delegates unsure what to say. They had seen footage, but they had not yet seen everything. The full extent of the wolves' abilities, their awareness, and their partnership with humans could not be captured on screen. It was alive, unpredictable, and unstoppable. The lesson was clear. Humans survived not because of weapons or machines, but because they had allies the universe had underestimated. Wolves were the first step, and the next challenge would test both humans and their partners in ways no one had yet imagined. The council hall was silent after the canyon footage ended. The alien delegates shifted in their seats, murmuring quietly to each other. They had witnessed something they could not explain. Machines had failed where humans and wolves had succeeded. The laughter from earlier meetings had vanished completely. Curiosity, unease, and respect had replaced it. Elena stood still in the center of the floor. She did not rush or gesture, letting the silence build tension. It was a technique she had used many times, and it worked now. The delegates leaned forward, sensing that more was coming. "You have seen corridors," Elena began, her voice calm. "You have seen open terrain. You have seen how wolves guide, protect, and act where machines fail, but you have not yet seen their ability to detect threats inside structures, or to anticipate hidden enemies within spaces you consider safe." She touched a small panel on her wrist, and the ceiling display flickered back to life. The screen showed the interior of a human forward outpost on a distant planet. The facility was built with high walls, reinforced doors, and automated defense systems. Alarms blared red as smoke filled the hallways. Machines were active, turrets scanned, and sensors blinked with constant alerts. Yet something unseen moved through the corridors, avoiding every detection system. The humans moved cautiously, weapons raised, following the signals of the wolves. The wolves led them with perfect timing, sniffing the air, listening to vibrations, and reacting faster than any machine could. One wolf paused, ears pinned back, growling softly. A soldier froze. Something was moving just out of sight. The aliens in the council hall leaned forward, captivated. The footage showed humans advancing through corridors while wolves patrolled the edges, circling and anticipating threats. The invisible enemy was striking in unpredictable patterns, testing every defense, yet the humans were never caught off guard. One corridor erupted suddenly. A creature struck from a hidden door, invisible to sensors and cameras. It lunged at a soldier, but a wolf intercepted it in an instant. Its jaws clamped around the enemy, tearing it away before the human could react. Another wolf blocked the rear, growling and snapping at a threat no machine could see. The human soldiers adjusted to every movement of the wolves. Their actions were synchronized. They trusted the animals completely, knowing that a wolf's judgment would keep them alive where technology could not. A young wolf darted ahead into a smoke-filled corridor. The humans hesitated, unsure of what the wolf had detected. Then it growled sharply, signaling danger. Humans retreated to cover. Moments later, a section of the wall collapsed where the wolf had indicated. Dust and debris filled the air, hiding the enemy that had tried to ambush them. Alien delegates whispered to each other. They could not understand how the wolves detected life and movement where machines failed. Algorithms, sensors, drones, and turrets had no power against the unseen. Life itself, trained and guided, had become the human's greatest advantage. The footage shifted to a wide hallway. Smoke and dust clouded the view. Humans moved in tight groups while wolves spread across the edges, scanning. One wolf paused, ears twitching. Another growled softly. Humans held their positions. Then, in a moment too quick to follow, A creature lunged at the humans from behind a support pillar. The wolf intercepted it instantly, neutralizing the threat before it could reach the humans. The aliens in the hall were speechless. They had trained soldiers and relied on technology, yet this combination of humans and wolves outperformed everything they had developed. Machines could not anticipate invisible threats, but the wolves did. They reacted with intelligence, experience, and instinct. Elena's voice cut through the silence. These wolves are not controlled. They are trained, yes, but they act with judgment. They sense danger, interpret it, and respond. They protect humans not because they must, but because they choose to, and humans trust them. That trust has saved countless lives. The footage continued. Wolves guided humans through dangerous corridors, signaling paths to avoid, warnings of structural weaknesses, and the presence of hidden enemies. One wolf sacrificed itself, drawing an enemy away to allow a group of humans to escape. Another wolf protected a child, nudging the small human towards safety while fighting off an attacker. A delegate, covered in metallic scales, whispered to its neighbor, "This coordination cannot be explained by machines alone." "No," another replied. "It is life itself, adapted, trusted, and trained." Elena nodded. "Exactly. You may analyze algorithms, deploy sensors, or calculate probabilities, but life has intuition and judgment no machine can replicate. That is why humans survive where others fall. That is why these wolves are more than partners. They are allies." The footage shifted again to the aftermath. The smoke cleared, revealing the enemy retreating, wounded, confused, and unable to anticipate the humans' movements. Wolves regrouped with humans, scanning for remaining threats. One wolf licked a soldier's hand, signaling that it was safe to continue. Another stood watch, ears twitching for danger. The aliens in the hall were no longer whispering quietly. They spoke in hurried tones, translating the footage, analyzing what they had witnessed. Their skepticism had vanished, replaced with awe and concern. Humans had survived encounters that would have destroyed fleets, not with superior technology, but with partnership, instinct, and trust. Elena's eyes swept across the room. "What you have seen is only a part of our methods. There are many encounters, many operations, each with wolves acting as scouts, protectors, and guides. Machines cannot replace this. Logic alone cannot predict it. Life itself must be trusted and observed." The hall remained silent. Delegates absorbed the lesson. Machines could fail. Logic could fail, but the bond between humans and wolves could not be broken. Survival depended on cooperation, awareness, and trust in life itself. Elena stepped back slightly. "You have witnessed one station, one outpost. There are many more. The methods are consistent. The wolves lead, protect, and guide. Humans follow, trusting instincts no machine can replicate. That is why we survive." A pale, multi-limbed delegate finally spoke, voice cautious. "And if these methods were applied widely, if humans could bring wolves to every frontier, could this change the outcome of battles other species have lost?" Elena met the question with calm certainty. "It already has. We have survived and even succeeded where others failed. Machines cannot replace judgment, intuition, or awareness of life itself. That is why humans endure. That is why we are not yet destroyed. That is why we continue to adapt." The lights in the hall brightened slowly. The delegates sat quietly, reflecting on the images in the lesson. The partnership between humans and wolves was clear. It was not just a strategy. It was survival. It was instinct and life working together. Machines could calculate probabilities, but life itself could adapt, react, and protect in ways no algorithm could. Outside, the stars remained indifferent. But inside the council hall, a new awareness formed. Humans had allies no one had anticipated. Wolves, trained and trusted, had become more than animals. They were guides, protectors, and warriors in a universe that had underestimated them. Elena allowed herself a quiet breath. The message had been delivered. Humans survived not through weapons or machines, but through partnership, instinct, and trust in life itself. Wolves were only the beginning. Somewhere far from the cameras, beyond the reach of sensors, the wolves waited. They would continue to listen, watch, guide, and protect. They would act before the enemy could strike, ensuring that humans survived where others failed. The council remained quiet. The delegates had seen the footage. They had heard Elena's explanation, but they had not yet seen everything. The full extent of the wolves' awareness, judgment, and partnership with humans was alive, fluid, and unstoppable. The lesson was clear. Humans had survived because they listened, adapted, and trusted creatures the universe had overlooked. Wolves were the first step, and the next threat would challenge both humans and their partners in ways no one had yet imagined. The council hall was quiet. The alien delegates sat in their seats, processing what they had just witnessed. There was no laughter, no disbelief, only a mixture of awe and unease. Humans had survived where entire civilizations had fallen, not through advanced technology alone, but because of living partners that machines could not replicate. Wolves. Elena stood in the center of the floor, her posture calm and steady. She let the silence grow, letting the delegates absorb the lesson. You have seen corridors, deserts, outposts. You have seen wolves detect the unseen, guide humans, and protect them where machines fail, she said. You have seen their instincts and judgment, but there is more. Life itself adapts, observes, and survives. Machines cannot replace that. The display flickered, and new footage appeared. This time, it was a human forward station on the edge of a star system. The planet's surface was jagged, rocky, and barren. Storms of dust swept across the terrain, hiding the station from view. Sensors inside the station flickered, unable to detect movement outside. Machines hummed, systems checked, but there were gaps, blind spots where the enemy could strike. Humans moved cautiously, following the signals of wolves patrolling the area. Wolves spread out, scanning the terrain, ears twitching, noses sniffing, and paws padding silently over rocks. Their eyes glowed faintly in low light, reflecting nothing but focus and awareness. Humans followed, trusting the signals, adjusting positions, and moving through areas that machines could not see as safe. Suddenly, sensors detected a disturbance. It was faint, inconsistent, almost a false reading. Machines could not track it clearly, yet the wolves knew. One stopped, ears pinned, tail stiff. Another growled softly, circling the group. Humans froze, instinctively understanding that something was near. Then the enemy struck. Creatures moved out from behind rocks, almost invisible, blending perfectly with the environment. Machines fired, lasers and projectiles missing entirely. The humans were exposed. Fear rippled through the small group. The wolves reacted instantly. One intercepted a creature moving toward a human. Another circled the rear, cutting off potential attacks. Humans followed the signals, advancing only when the wolves indicated it was safe. Their movements were synchronized, seamless, and precise. A young wolf darted forward into a dust cloud, ears flattened, growling sharply. Humans hesitated, unsure what the wolf had detected. Then it signaled, nudging them toward a narrow path through the rocks. Moments later, a creature lunged from behind a boulder. The wolf struck first, neutralizing it before the humans could even see it. The delegates in the hall whispered among themselves. They had relied on machines, on algorithms, on firepower. Yet here, life itself, trained and trusted, was outperforming technology. Wolves sensed danger, judged threats, and acted faster than any machine could calculate. Humans had survived countless encounters where machines alone would have failed.
Footage shifted to the interior of the station. Smoke filled the corridors.
Alarms blared. Machines tracked nothing. Wolves patrolled, signaling paths, warnings, and threats. One wolf sacrificed itself, drawing an enemy away so humans could escape. Another protected a child, nudging it to safety while fending off a creature. The humans relied on them completely, trusting instincts they had learned to follow. Elena's voice cut through the silence. These wolves are not controlled. They act with judgment. They detect life, interpret danger, and protect humans. That trust has saved countless lives. It is not instinct alone, nor is it obedience. It is partnership. The footage continued. Wolves guided humans through corridors, across open terrain, and through ambushes that machines could not detect. Every encounter showed the same pattern. The enemy remained invisible to technology, but was always noticed by the wolves. Humans survived because they trusted life itself. A delegate, pale and multi-limbed, whispered, "They anticipate, they act, they protect." Machines cannot replicate this. "Yes," another replied. "Life itself has been trained, guided, and trusted." Elena nodded. "Exactly. You can analyze algorithms, deploy sensors, calculate probabilities, but life itself adapts in ways no machine can. That is why humans survive where others fail. That is why we endure." The footage shifted to the aftermath. Dust settled. The enemy retreated, injured, confused, unable to predict humans and wolves working together. Wolves regrouped with humans, scanning for remaining threats. One licked a soldier's hand, signaling safety. Another stood watch, alert for any further danger. The alien delegates were no longer whispering. They spoke quickly, translating what they had seen, analyzing it in disbelief. The partnership between humans and wolves had outperformed all technology and strategy they had ever known. Machines could fail. Algorithms could fail, but life, trained and trusted, could survive and adapt. Elena's eyes swept the room. What you have seen is only part of our methods. Many encounters, many operations, each with wolves acting as scouts, protectors, and guides. Machines cannot replace them. Logic alone cannot predict them. Life itself must be trusted and observed. The council hall remained quiet. Delegates processed the lesson. Humans survived not because of weapons, not because of machines, but because of partnership, trust, and instinct. Wolves were more than animals. They were guides, protectors, and warriors. Elena allowed herself a quiet breath. The message had been delivered. Humanity had survived because it listened, adapted, and trusted allies others overlooked. Wolves were only the beginning. Far away, beyond cameras, sensors, and the alien council, the wolves awaited. They would continue to listen, watch, guide, and protect. They would act before the enemy could strike, ensuring humanity survived where others failed. The council remained silent. Delegates had seen the footage and heard Elena's words, but they had not yet seen everything. The full scope of the wolves' judgment, awareness, and partnership with humans was alive, fluid, and unstoppable. The lesson was clear. Humans survived because they trusted life itself, adapted, and moved with allies the universe had underestimated. Wolves were the first step. The next threat would challenge both humans and their partners in ways no one had yet imagined. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, the wolves were already restless. They sensed danger approaching, ready to move, ready to act, ready to protect humanity from threats that no machine, no algorithm, and no empire could foresee. The hall remained still. Silence stretched, heavy and complete. Humanity's secret had been revealed. The delegates knew now that survival was not just a matter of power or technology. Survival was about trust, instinct, and life itself. Elena stepped back, calm and resolute. Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent and cold. Inside, the council had learned that humans were not as weak as they had assumed. Humanity had partners no one expected. Wolves had become legends before the battle even began. And somewhere, out in the void, the predators waited. They were listening, moving, judging, and protecting. Always ready. Always alert. Always one step ahead. The lesson was clear, and the council understood it finally. Humans survived not because they fought like others, but because they listened, adapted, and trusted life itself. And the universe would have to take notice. Humans were not alone. They never had been, and the wolves, silent, vigilant, and deadly, would ensure that they never would be.